Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasuni Balachandra.
And I'm Thilina Udayaratna. We begin with a look at the headlines for tonight. Restoring organizational and day-to-day public life activities begin tomorrow, subject to health restrictions. The number of fully recovered COVID-19 patients in the country reached 321. 61 fully recovered patients discharged within the day for the first time. Public transportation services for all passengers to resume after 2 weeks. The Premier states that he expects the public to support the process of restoring normalcy in the country in the same manner in which support was extended to control the coronavirus. Day-to-day activities return to normal in France after relaxed restrictions. A military confrontation reported along the Indo-China border.
Moving on to those and other stories in detail. Issuing a statement with regard to the process of gradually restoring day-to-day public life, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa states he expects that the public will extend their support to the process of restoring normalcy in the country in the same manner in which they extended their support to control the coronavirus. The COVID-19 outbreak was a new experience to the world. The statement notes, identifying the risk beforehand, the President on the 26th of January declared a task force on corona control, and even though no infected persons were reported in Sri Lanka, the government took steps to arrange the first quarantine centre at Handala on the 4th of March. After the first infected person was detected on the 10th of March, the government took steps to quarantine individuals arriving in the country from overseas. The disease was controlled as the police and the tri-forces traced individuals who had closely associated with the infected persons and sent them to quarantine. Sri Lanka is a country at the forefront of controlling the COVID-19 disease. The Premier notes, in this endeavour, the health and security units have extended an enormous support. Although 25 Sri Lankans resident in Britain died of the disease, in Sri Lanka, only 9 COVID-19 related deaths have been reported. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's ascension to the presidency on the 16th of November last year was one of the chief contributory factors in controlling the risk of the disease. Steps are also being taken to contain the disease and relax curfew. Even though curfew was in force, the health and security sectors as well as farmers, fishermen and certain industries continued to work, and by restoring normals in the country, these functions will expand gradually. The release specifically states that within the coming days, the routine processes of the country will be recommenced whilst maintaining social distancing to the most possible extent. The release states that although the coronavirus threat has been controlled, the risk still prevails. Therefore, tracing patients and maintaining quarantine centres will continue further, and if necessary, curfew will be imposed in certain areas. The Premier notes not only Sri Lanka but also countries in which the coronavirus spread severely have also launched plans on restoring day-to-day public life activities.
Speaking to the National Television Health Promotion Bureau consultant community physician, Dr. Priyanka Ranasinghe briefed on the following simple measures which can be easily adopted in the workplace to reduce the spread of infections and to keep the workplaces safe to prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
Restrictions have been eased. Can we be as relaxed as we were before?
This is not the time to relax. This is the time to be more careful. Once the movement is increased, there's more possibility of getting exposed to the virus. Therefore, stay home at all possible occasions. People should leave home only for work and to seek essential services.
How should we be prepared at our households during this period?
As a family, you should discuss and come to a consensus how to face this situation. Who is going out to seek essential needs? Especially, select one person from the family who's young, who do not have any other illness. to go out to get essential needs. At the same time, you should discuss and write down all possible contact numbers for help seeking in this corona situation and display it at one place at your own household. Keep a box ready at the entrance of the house to keep things that you take out when you are leaving home. Once you come back home, wash your hands, clean your clothes and have a bath, as in every occasion when you step out of the house.
What measures should we take to stay safe at our workplace?
At the same time, the people who goes to work should behave responsibly, not to get virus while they are out. They should maintain 1 meter distance and do not touch any other place.
Steps to be followed when using the lift.
Always use the stairs. But if you have to use the lift, use it at occasion when it is least crowded. If it is crowded, have patience and wait for the next time. Once you get in, press the buttons using a toothpick, tissue paper or with your elbow. If you use a tissue paper or a toothpick, be mindful to dispose into a closed bin as soon as you come out of the lift. Keep the distance when you travel in the lift too. Do not go face to face while you are going in the lift.
Last but not the least, can we make this our lifestyle?
Sure, this is not only Sri Lankans. Entire world is adapting to this lifestyle. This is the new style of life to combat COVID-19. Let's get used to this.
Something that changes your life story. Litro Gas. Well, curfew in the Colombo and Gampaha districts will be in force until further notice. Curfew in the other districts, including the Kaluthara and Puttlam districts, will be in place from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. with effect from tomorrow until further notice as well. As planned, restoring organizational activities and day-to-day public life in the Colombo and Gampaha districts whilst curfew is in force begins from tomorrow. The government imposed island-wide curfew in an effort to control the spread of the coronavirus on the 20th of March from 6 p.m. onwards. As of then, the districts of Colombo, Gampaha, Puttlam and the Northern Province were declared as high-risk zones. However, on the 24th of March, curfew was lifted for a period of 8 hours from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thereafter, curfew in the districts of the Northern Province was also lifted, with the curfew imposed in the districts of the other provinces, whilst the government took steps to continue with the imposed curfew indefinitely in the high-risk areas which were first identified as the Colombo, Gampaha and Puttlam districts, and thereafter including the Kaluthara district. During this period, curfew was relaxed in the other districts of the island. However, taking into consideration the situation in the high-risk areas, steps have been taken to have curfew in place in such districts, thereby restoring organizational activities and normalcy to day-to-day public life in the high-risk districts will commence whilst curfew is in fact in place. Organizations of both the public and private sectors in the high-risk areas need to be kept open from tomorrow. Director General of Health Services Consultant Dr. Anil Jasinghe observes that at present the country is passing the pre-COVID season. He points out that as the public adjusted to a lifestyle in the pre-COVID season, they need to adjust to a lifestyle different to the previous lifestyle, as it is important to continue with the measures in place to contain COVID-19 even amidst curfew being relaxed. Dr. Jasinghe cautions that this does not mean that the COVID-19 virus has been completely eliminated from Sri Lanka. He predicts that this would take a considerable length of time. Therefore, the guidelines and regulations need to further be in place and adhered to. Dr. DIG Ajitra Rohana says tomorrow within the Western Province, except for those who are heading for their places of work using their staff ID, no other movement will be permitted without a curfew pass. The DIG further explained that crossing district boundaries has also been considered, and those heading for work in Colombo can cross the district boundaries upon producing their employee ID. However, they can use their employee ID
in this manner only if it can be confirmed that they have been summoned for duties. Therefore, the DIG explains to always have some sort of proof saved in one's mobile phone as evidence of being summoned to work, and this can be an SMS or a Viber or WhatsApp message or even an email that has been sent summoning an employee for duties, and this will confirm to a police officer that the employee has in fact been called for work. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says the heads of public and private sector employees have been previously notified on how organizational activities need to be proceeded with. Thereby, the Army Commander states that in the Colombo district, a minimum number of employees need to be summoned up to a maximum of 1/3 of the organization's staff for the activities of the organization to resume. Passenger transportation in CTB buses and trains will be limited to public and private sector employees heading for work. The government notifies that except for those who necessarily need to report to work, others need to remain at home and assist in the disease prevention methods. Existing and exiting one's residence is permitted only for the purpose of purchasing essential commodities such as food items and pharmaceuticals. The permission granted to exit one's residence according to the last digit of the national identity card number comes into effect from tomorrow. DIG Ajit Rohana says if employees of the public sector are to be summoned, these employees are requested to report to their places of work before 8:30 a.m. The DIG added that as the private sector is to commence work at 10 a.m., vehicles transporting private sector employees can run between 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. The DIG calls on employees to work according to the given times. When leaving for homes, after work, vehicles of the public sector should leave between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., whilst vehicles of the private sector should leave between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. The DIG added that this travel time arrangement will not be applicable for those working on shift basis.
සේවා මුර හැටියට යම් රාජකාරී කරන ආයතන ඒ වගේම කර්මාන්තශාලා රජයේ මෙන්ම පුද්ගලිකාංශයේ යම් ආයතන තිබෙනවා එම ස්ථානවලට මෙම රීතීන් බලපාන්නේ නැහැ විශේෂයෙන්ම පුද්ගලික වාහන වලින් තම සේවා ස්ථානයට පැමිණෙනවා නම් ඒ අයට එය සනාථ කරමින් සේවා ස්ථානයට පැමිණෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ හැරෙන්නට බස්නාහිර පළාත් තුල පුද්ගලික ගමන් බිමන් සඳහා වාහන යොදා ගැනීමට අවස්ථාව ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Although curfew is to be relaxed, the government expects the public to adhere to health guidelines and refrain from gathering in groups unnecessarily, as the main object of the government is to restore economic and day-to-day public life activities whilst curfew is in force and at the same time prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
සලකා එයට එරෙහිව කටයුතු කරන්නට සිදු වෙනවා. යම් අවස්ථාවකදී තමා පදිංචිව සිටින, නැවතී සිටින, එහෙම නැත්නම් తాවකාලික වාසස්ථානයේ අසල තිබෙන යම් වෙළඳසැලකට ඖෂධ වෙළඳසැලකට යාමේ හැකියාව තිබෙනවා.
Disinfecting public places took place today as well as in the efforts to protect passengers who will be arriving in Colombo tomorrow. The Colombo District Secretariat and the busy Buralla area was disinfected in this manner. State institutions and public places in the Kalutara, Kampaha and Putlam districts were also disinfected. In addition, public places in the other districts were also disinfected. The Sri Lanka Transport Board is implementing a special transport plan on operating buses in the high-risk areas. Thereby, steps have been taken to operate 5,200 CTB buses island-wide.
අපිට උපදෙස් දීලා තියෙන්නේ විශේෂයෙන්ම බස් රථයකට යන්න පුළුවන් පරිම සීමාව 25ක් කියලා තමයි අපිට වෛද්‍ය අංශ ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ අනුව කොළඹ ගම්පහ කළුතර කියන ප්‍රදේශවල හැර අනිත් ප්‍රදේශවල කලිනුත් බස් රථ ධාවනය වෙච්ච නිසා ඒ ආකාරයටම ඒ බස් රථ ධාවනය වෙනවා. හෙට දිනේ දුම්රිය මගින් කොළඹට එන අය වෙනුවෙන් දුම්රිය ස්ථානවල සිට වෙනත් ස්ථානවලට සේවයට වාර්තා කරන්නට අපි බස් රථ යොදවලා තියෙනවා. අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා බස් රථ ධාවනය වෙන්නේ උදෑසන සහ හවස මැද හරිය බස් රථ ධාවනය වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩුයි. මොකද අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ රජයේ සහ පෞද්ගලික අංශ කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයන්ට පමණක් මේ බස් රථ ප්‍රයෝජනයට ගනී කියන විශ්වාසය තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ගිය මාසේ සීසන් ටිකට් පත් කිසිම කෙනෙකුට භාවිත කරන්න ලැබුණේ නැහැ. ඒක නිසා සීසන් ටිකට් පත් මේ මාසෙටත් වළංගුයි.
Trains will also commute from tomorrow, giving priority to essential services. Thereby, the Department of Railways states that 18 trains turns will be operational from tomorrow and 8 of them will commute in outstation areas, whilst 10 train turns will be reserved for office staff heading for work. The Department of Railways states that a group of train travellers are due to arrive in Colombo tomorrow as well, under the arrangement put in place on behalf of employees of both the public and private sectors, through which the employees will be informed through SMS on the train times and their seats.
දිනකට වර්ණයක් බැගින් ලබා දීමට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සූදානම් කර තිබෙනවා. මෙම ටෝකන් පත්‍රය ලබා ගන්නා මගින් සඳහා පමණයි දුම්රියෙන් ගමන් කිරීමට අවසර තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම මේ ටෝකන් පත්‍රය අතතිය තියෙන්න ඕන ආපසු ගම්බලා යනකොට. ඒ වගේම අද සවස් වෙනකොට SMS පණිවිඩය ලැබෙන්නේ අදාළ ආයතන මගින් යොමු කර ඇති නිර්දේශිත නාම ලේඛනයේ නම සඳහන් අය සඳහා පමණයි. දිවයිනේ නන්දසින් දුම්රියන් 10ක් ධාවනය කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සූදානම් කර තිබෙන අතර එම දුම්රියන් වලින් දැනට ලියාපදිංචි වී ඇති මගීන් 2800ක ප්‍රමාණය කොළඹ වෙත ප්‍රවාහනය කිරීම කරනු ලබන අතර අවස් වරුවේද එම මගීන් දුම්රිය ස්ථානය සඳහා ප්‍රවාහනය කිරීම සිදු කරනු ලබනවා. ආරක්ෂක අංශයේ පූර්ණ සහයෝගය ලැබී ඇති අතර සෑම දුම්රිය මැදිරියක් සඳහාම හමුදා නිලධාරීන් මහතුන් දෙදෙනෙකු බැගින් යෙදවීමටද කටයුතු කරලා ඇති අතර දුම්රිය ආරක්ෂක සේවයේ නිලධාරීන් දෙදෙනෙක් එක දුම්රියක් සඳහා යෙදවීමට කටයුතු කර තිබෙනවා. දුම්රිය තුලද මගීන්ගේ උෂ්ණත්වය මැලවැණීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය විධිවිධාන සලස්වා තිබෙනවා. කිසිම පුද්ගලයෙකුට වෙළඳාම් කිරීම නොව දුම්රියට ඇතුල් වීමත් තහනම්.
Steps have been taken to reopen all expressways from tomorrow and to facilitate the provision of essential services and transportation for individuals heading for work. The expressways can be used by those who have obtained a curfew pass and have an office staff ID or a letter issued by the employer detailing the official service requirement of the organization. Due to the prevailing situation, the recommencement of schools has been postponed indefinitely. Previously, the government had announced that schools would reopen tomorrow. The Department of Immigration and Immigration will be kept open for routing services from Monday except on public holidays. The public, when arriving at the Immigration and Immigration Department, are advised to adhere to health and security guidelines. The Colombo Manning Market will be open from tomorrow for wholesale trading only. The Narayanpeta Economic Centre will also be open from tomorrow. Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi says that the objective of opening of the country tomorrow is to strengthen the economy. However, she discourages the public from arriving in the urban areas for non-essential purposes. Minister Vanyarachi cautions the public that their safety is in their own hands.
As a result of the decrease in human activity, a sense of beauty was seen in the city of Colombo in the recent days. However, as day-to-day public life activities return to normalcy to a certain extent from tomorrow, the question remains as to whether this sense of beauty will prevail. As many countries across the globe went into lockdown due to the spread of the coronavirus, air pollution levels had considerably decreased. As a result of the decrease in air pollution in neighboring India, the Himalayan mountains were clearly visible to the state of Punjab from a distance of 200 kilometers. The reduction in air pollution was also observed in Sri Lanka. Air pollution in the Colombo city was at a high level as at last March. However, with the imposition of curfew from the 20th of March, since vehicular traffic became minimal, the percentage of harmful gases and dust particles in the air has decreased. Meanwhile, the turf at Golf Face Green has spread to a considerable extent, since for around 50 days the area did not see its usual thousands of visitors. The flow of garbage into the sea from various directions in the island was also not seen over the past few days. This is evident when taking a look at the sea area around the outlet of the Kalani Ganga. Seemingly, the entire planet seems to be experiencing a refreshing new birth. The responsibility lies with the human race across the entire globe to preserve the environment and prevent pollution.
The number of fully recovered COVID-19 patients in the country has reached 321. 61 fully recovered patients were discharged today, and this was the highest number of fully recovered patients to be discharged within a day so far. 517 patients are undergoing further treatment. Meanwhile, 8 newly confirmed cases were reported today. Within the past 24 hours, 66 fully recovered patients were discharged from hospitals. 52 of them underwent treatment at the Kaptankudi Base Hospital. 5 of them were discharged from the Angoda IDH. 4 of them were treated at the Navy Hospital. 3 patients left the Homagam Base Hospital, and 2 patients recovered fully at the Velikanda Base Hospital. The 52 patients who were discharged from the Kaptankudi Base Hospital were from Bandaranaike Mawatha in Colombo, Beruwala, Matugama and Jayala. Amongst the 8 newly confirmed cases reported today, 6 cases were reported from among Navy personnel, whilst the other 2 cases were reported from among individuals who had returned to the country from Dubai and were sent into quarantine. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says that the number of newly confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported yesterday was 12, and 10 of them were Navy personnel attached to the Valisara Navy camp. Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe says although a difficult time period had to be undergone in the efforts to control the disease, promising results have been received. Dr. Jasinghe points out that other countries in the world have plunged into disaster due to this disease, and it has been a complex disaster resulting in the entire social mechanism of such countries coming to an absolute standstill. However, Dr. Jasinghe points out that such a situation did not befall Sri Lanka. He also pointed out that over the past few years, a number of diseases were eliminated from the country, and that shows the capability of the public health mechanism. The Health Services Director General has specially called to mind the support extended by the police and the tri-forces and the Health Minister, the Prime Minister, the President in this process. Dr. Jasinghe noted that currently a social transmission level of the disease is not seen. He observed that countries in which social transmission has in fact been detected are currently lifting their imposed lockdown and are opening up. Therefore, Dr. Jasinghe states that the next stage is, whilst opening up the economy and day-to-day public life activities even amidst strict restrictions, how to control and how a control of the disease can be maintained. He cautioned that with the opening up, if the control of the disease does not continue, the country runs the risk of facing a second wave of COVID-19. A group of 274 Sri Lankan migrants stranded in Australia due to COVID-19 were flown back to the island this morning. Upon arrival from Melbourne, they were sent into quarantine centres run by the Army. In addition, a group of 178 Sri Lankans who were stranded in Malaysia due to the COVID-19 pandemic left Kuala Lumpur and arrived in the island this evening. This group was also sent to the quarantine centres run by the Army upon arrival.
Minister Mahinda Amaraveera says the Electricity Board has been instructed to rectify oversights occurred in the issuance of electricity bills, if any. The minister emphasises that the Electricity Board will not take decisions that are unfair by the public. Minister Mahinda Amaraveera says complaints have been received that due to certain oversights on the part of the Electricity Board, erroneous electricity bills have been issued. Therefore, he has instructed for the errors to be rectified. The minister further states that electricity consumers have been requested to make a payment similar to the payment made when settling the bill issued for the month of February. The minister explained that there is no necessity to pay beyond that sum, as later on consumers will be given an option to make the correct payments. He further explained if a consumer has made a prepayment, steps will be taken to make deductions in their future bills. Minister Amaraveera added, at this moment when the Electricity Board is in need of money, they call on everyone to pay their electricity bills. And now for more stories from home. The Colombo Stock Exchange will recommence its operations tomorrow in view of the decision made by the government to relax curfew regulations in the country. In an exclusive interview with the National Television, Chief Executive Officer of Colombo Stock Exchange, Rajiv Bandaranaike, said that the country's stock market expected to improve from the recent slump due to COVID-19 outbreak following the recent turnaround shown by global stock markets. Colombo Stock Exchange halted operations on the 20th of March following the island-wide curfew imposed due to the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. In a media release, the CSC has indicated that operations will be commenced with the decision made by the government to recommence work of private and public sectors in Colombo, Gampaha, Kalitara and Puntland districts from tomorrow. Accordingly, the pre-open session will be open from 10:30 to 11 a.m. with the open auction beginning at 11 a.m. Regular trading will commence after the open auction at 11 a.m. and the market close will be at 1 p.m. Meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission introduced a three-tiered circuit breaker structure in order to strengthen the capital market and ensure that precautionary measures are in place to eradicate distortion in the S&P SL 20 index by providing a layered approach.
Monday the 11th, we will have the pre-open session at 10:30 and have a 2-hour trading session from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Stock markets globally have suffered setbacks in terms of price index performance over the last 2 months, and even at the CSC we last traded on the 20th of March, we had both indices declining significantly. The redeeming factor is that from about mid-April, if you look at the markets that have been trading over the last 1.5 months, there has been a turnaround in terms of the decline that we have seen, and markets have bottomed out and started some level of appreciation in the indices.
The Patriotic United National Party has complained to the Elections Commission that the Samagi Jana Balavege is misusing the opposition leader's office. They allege that using the opposition leader's office for the promotion of a political party when the parliament has been dissolved is a violation of election laws. The Patriotic United National Party had complained to the Elections Commission in this regard on the 5th of this month as well. Since the Patriotic United National Party has not been satisfied with the response of the Elections Commission, they queried about the complaint today as well. Well, that's a wrap on tonight's Rupavahini English News. Join us once again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay indoors, take care. Thanks for watching.